This is Miriam Hayeche. She runs an open food kiosk in the Kenyan capital city, Nairobi. She's preparing chapati, a meal made from wheat flour that is popular across East Africa. She says the rising wheat flour prices have left her struggling.
We have problems. Now we have reduced the amount of flour we used to purchase. The price is just too high.
Despite the increasing cost of raw materials used to make it, chapati remains the favorite lunch meal for low-income workers from nearby areas. Its price is seen as pocket-friendly.
If you tell customers that the prices have gone up, they run away. They want cheap food. I don't know what to do.
We know things are bad, but we are asking her not to increase the prices of chapati.
The IMF reported that between 2020 and 2022, staple food prices in Africa rose by 23.9%, marking the highest surge since the global financial crisis of 2008. This has negatively impacted Africans as food products constitute a significant portion of their household consumption basket. In African households, approximately 42% of consumption is on food items, with this percentage rising significantly to as high as 60% in countries grappling with conflict and insecurity. Notably, wheat-based products account for the highest amount. Dr. Tim Jagi, a research fellow at Kenya's Tegemeo Institute of Agricultural Policy and Development, attributes the origin of this practice to the colonial era.
There was a colonial perception about whatever the colonialists were consuming was superior to what Africans were consuming. So that led to an initial shift in preferences.
And the shift came with convenience too, making it difficult for some people to look for alternatives to wheat products. However, Africa is not producing enough wheat and other cereals to meet its needs, forcing it to rely on imports. According to the African Development Bank, African countries spend over $75 billion to import over 100 million metric tons of cereals annually. In 2020, 15 African countries imported over 50% of their wheat products from the Russian Federation or Ukraine, according to Data One. 6 of these countries, namely Eritrea, Egypt, Benin, Sudan, Djibouti, and Tanzania, imported over 70% of their wheat from the region. In its report, the African Development Bank noted that the Russian conflict with Ukraine led to a shortage of about 30 million tons of grains on the continent, along with a sharp increase in costs. The conflict sent wheat prices soaring by more than 40% in some countries, while fertilizer costs in most African nations jumped 3 to 4 times from 2020 levels, resulting in a 2 million ton supply gap. Disruptions in the supply chain of primary farm inputs, including fertilizer imports from Russia, Ukraine, and Belarus, further threatened Africa's food security. The World Food Programme reported that global fertilizer prices have risen by 199% since May 2020, with prices for fertilizers more than doubling in Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania in 2022. Dr. Njagi says there is a climatic reason why Africa doesn't produce enough wheat to meet the demand. He says if Africa wants to go around this challenge, then investment in research is the answer. He says African countries need to come up with wheat and cereal varieties that are adaptable to climate change and especially warm weather. Enoch Sikoli, CGTN, Nairobi, Kenya.